Hello and welcome to Next IS. We are back with our initiative of weekly current affairs. Today we will be discussing the current affairs of environment and ecology. The date that we are going to cover in this week is from 15th March to 21st March. So let's start the discussion with the contents that what we are going to discuss in today's class. So the first topic will be bamboo flowering as a threat. As a threat to what? As a threat to wildlife. We will see why it is a threat. Then we'll move towards the next topic, that is your Great Indian Bustard. Supreme Court has intervened in it that the Great Indian Bustards are dying because of the electric lines. Then the third topic will be Commission for Air Quality Management, and the fourth topic will be Project Rehab. So this is also important. It is related to elephants. Then the next topic will be Pilibhit Tiger Reserve, and the second last topic will be National Plan for Conservation of Aquatic Ecosystem (NPCA). And the last topic will be introduction of cheetahs, where it is going to be. It is going to be in Madhya Pradesh at Kunopalpur Reserve. Right. So they start with the first topic, that is bamboo flowering as a threat. So the gregarious flowering of bamboos inside the Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary. It is located where? It is located in Kerala. And what is this gregarious flowering of bamboos? Actually, the it is the like socialization of the flowering of bamboos. Basically, what happens in bamboos is that some of the species of bamboo, they flower at a particular time, right? So they flower at a particular time, and it happens like कि एक दूसरे को देख के they start flowering. So all of them flowers simultaneously. If you talk about what is the science behind that, then it is not yet confirmed that what is the science why bamboo trees behave like that. Bamboo is a grass, not tree actually. So why bamboos behave like it? That they flower in a socialized form, like they flower together, right? So it poses a potential threat to the wildlife in the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, a major tiger and elephant habitat. So about bamboo flowering, if we talk about, so the thorny bamboos, which are known as bambusa bamboos, it is a monocarpic. Monocarpic is they just flower once in their lifetime. So they flower once in their lifetime. It belongs to a family of grass, that is Poaceae, and its flowering cycle varies from 40 to 60 years. So if you can see over here that they generally flower very rarely, and when they start flowering, they all together ki ho sakta hai ki the area will be like 150 square kilometers of area which has the bamboo trees. They are going to start flowering, and what happens after that? Once they have full bloomed, a phenomenon said to occur once in the life cycle of the bamboo plant. With the advent of the season and shortage of fodder and water, migration of wild animals starts from the adjacent sanctuaries in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu to Wayanad, and because of this migration, there can be a danger to the wildlife in that area. Right. So, what will the impact of the flowering? It may adversely affect migration, especially of the elephants and wild boar and the other lower herbivores, owing to the mass destruction of bamboo groves after the flowering. Farmers living near the sanctuary fear that the destruction of bamboo groves may worsen the increasing man-animal conflict. Threat to wildlife as well as the ecology. It is reported that over 25% of the bamboo groves have bloomed since 2010, and the phenomena is continuing. So basically in India there are different kind of perceptions. If you go to northeast, you will find that flowering of bamboo is considered as bad omen. It is being believed that as soon as the flowering of bamboo start, there is going to be a drought and poverty in the area where the bamboos are going to flower. और ऐसा क्यों माना जाता है इसके पीछे भी like there is a historical belief in it or mythological belief. It started with way before Mahabharata or at the time of Mahabharata. So when Jayadratha, the king Jayadratha was taking Draupadi with her, so at that time it is being believed that the Draupadi gave a srap ki the way you are destroying the bamboo trees, the forest of the bamboo trees while taking me, the same way your kingdom is going to be get destroyed. And it is being believed from that time that whenever the bamboo plants start flowering, there is going to be destruction, and it is particularly believed in where? It is particularly believed in northeastern region. So profound natural regeneration occurs from seeds after gregarious flowering. Seeds have no dormancy and it helps germination under favorable conditions soon after the seed falls. protection from forest fire and grazing is essential for proper establishment of seedling. So basically इनके अगर हम थ्रेड की बात करेंगे, फ्लावरिंग को दो ही चीजों से थ्रेड होती है बैम्बू फ्लावरिंग को, दैट इज द प्रोटेक्शन फ्रॉम फॉरेस्ट फायर, विच इज नॉट द केस जब हम वेस्टर्न घाट्स की बात करते हैं. वाई इट इज नॉट द केस? बिकॉज देर इज रेन ड्यूरिंग द समर्स ऑल्सो. सो इट इज बीइंग फाउंड कि वेस्टर्न घाट्स में देर इज वेरी रेयर फॉरेस्ट फायर्स. Right, and grazing. So the second threat will be the grazing of from the wildlife. So now we will discuss the Bernard Wildlife Sanctuary. It is set up in 1973. It is ranked as the 8th in the list of world's biodiversity hotspots. आपको पता होगा इंडिया के अंदर 4 biodiversity hotspots हैं: वेस्टर्न घाट्स, हिमालयाज, सुंडालैंड्स एंड इंडो बर्मन रीजन. राइट, सो दीज आर द 4 हॉटस्पॉट्स. सो वेस्टर्न घाट की एक हॉटस्पॉट की अगर हम बात करें तो वायनाड सेंचुरी इज रैंक्ड एट द 8th in the list of world's biodiversity hotspots. The sanctuary is a component of Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve कौन कौन सी 3 states को cover करती है? If you talk about then Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. And of the Elephant Reserve number 7 of South India location, it covers Wayanad Plateau situated at the confluence of 3 biologically distinct and diverse regions, that is the Great Western Mountain, Western Ghat Mountains, the Nilgiri Hills and the Deccan Plateau. The plateau area is mostly located in Kerala with small parts in the neighboring states of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. The climate, if we talk about, then there is that it is known for rainfall with both the southwest and the northeast monsoons contributing to the downpour over here, right? So temperature is not required. You don't need to can the temperature. Generally, it's a coastal area, so the temperature is present all through the year. So it lies between 15 degrees Celsius to 31.2 degree Celsius. If we talk about the flora and fauna over here, then the flora is has the characteristics of Western Ghats as it is located over there only, and the plantation crops flourish in cooler temperatures here. The moist deciduous forest consists of Maruthi, Kera Maruthi, Rosewood, Ventek, Bengal, Chadachi, and all these. And while the semi-evergreen patches comprises of Vateria indica and Lagerostomia, right? Then we talk about the fauna. So fauna में यहाँ पे जो सबसे important चीज है, that the largest venomous snake of the world, that is king cobra, is found over here apart from the other things. And the other important fauna is four-horned antelope जिसे हम बोलते हैं चौसिंगा, right? So it is also found here. It is इसका एक local name भी होता है उलामान in Malayalam, right? So just remember these names. Has also been cited over here. It is included in Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act. Schedule 1 basically it is the highest protected animal अगर हम किसी को भी शेड्यूल 1 में डाल रहे हैं, एंड कैटेगराइज्ड एज वनरेबल इन द IUCN रेड लिस्ट. So this is the map where you can see this is your Wayanad and this is your whole Western Ghat area of the Kerala. Then the next topic is Great Indian Bustard. So Great Indian Bustard, as I was discussing, it's a very important, basically from the biodiversity perspective, it is a very important bird in India. So the Supreme Court swooped in to intervene on the behalf of critically endangered. So this is important. IUCN के listing में it is critically endangered and it is going to be like it is being said that it might extinct soon. So Great Indian Bustard over the birds falling dead after colliding with the power lines. इसी के लिए अभी थोड़े दिन पहले एक और चीज न्यूज में थी, that is firefly diverters. What are these firefly diverters? So basically इन्हें birds की shape में बना के इस तरीके से जो भी हमारी जैसे ये power lines जा रही हैं, so just suppose that these are the power lines, so here they will be hanged like this. So when these are hanged, so birds can see from a distance that something is there. Generally what happens is that Great Indian Bustard is a very heavy bird and they are not that basically they don't change their course at a very fast pace. इनके reflexes इतनी तेज नहीं होते हैं because they are very heavy. So उस वजह से क्या होता है कि when they are flying at a speed and they don't see the high tension wires or the electricity wires going from the region, they generally collide with the wire and they get electrocuted and they die. And because of this reason, in the areas of Rajasthan and Gujarat, these birds are dying at a very rapid rate. So because of this, we developed the firefly diverters also, and now the Supreme Court has taken the cognizance where Supreme Court has asked to if all these wires can be gone through underground. We will see what are the issues, why they cannot go underground, or if they can go, then what will be the implications, right? So a bench led by CGI will examine whether overhead power cables can be replaced with the underground ones to save one of the heaviest flying birds on the planet. So when we talk about Great Indian Bustard, it is one of the heaviest flying birds endemic to the Indian subcontinent. It is a state bird of Rajasthan. This is important that it is a state bird of Rajasthan. They are primarily terrestrial birds. इनका जो difference है male and female में, this is also important. The males are taller than females. Right, males are taller than female, and if we talk about the weight, then they are almost, females are half in weight as compared to the male Great Indian bustards. So they are mega fauna and fauna and have the largest wingspan. Habitat untamed arid grasslands. So generally they are found in the arid grasslands now, arid grasslands of Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Rajasthan तो है ही, जिनका ये स्टेट बर्ड है वहां पे सबसे ज्यादा पाए जाते हैं. राइट, सो राजस्थान, गुजरात, महाराष्ट्र, कर्नाटका एंड रिमेंबर आंध्र प्रदेश इज ऑल्सो देयर. ग्रेट इंडियन बस्टर्ड के बारे में इफ वी गो इन द, इफ वी ऐड फ्यू मोर थिंग्स ओवर हियर. सो COP13 अभी इंडिया में हुई थी लास्ट ईयर. COP13 of what? COP13 of Convention of Migratory Birds or Migratory Species. Convention of Migratory Species. It is under UNEP. So it took place where? It took place in India last year, and यहाँ पे हमने गांधीनगर डिक्लेरेशन भी किया था. तो गांधीनगर डिक्लेरेशन कैन बी आस्क्ड. तो गांधीनगर डिक्लेरेशन किससे रिलेटेड है ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. इट इज रिलेटेड टू कन्वेंशन ऑफ माइग्रेटरी स्पीसीज. राइट, और इसके अलावा जो इसका मैस्कॉट था जब ये गांधीनगर में हुई COP13 ऑफ CMS, so the mascot was Jibi. Jibi is a short form for Great Indian Bustard and it was the mascot for that. इसी में इंडिया ने एक स्टैम्प भी लॉन्च की थी. द स्टैम्प वाज ऑफ ग्रेट इंडियन बस्टर ओनली. इसका लोगो क्या था CMS13 के? अगर हम लोगो की बात करें तो द लोगो यूज्ड कोला मार्ट. दिस इज ऑल्सो इंपॉर्टेंट. कोला मार्ट क्या होती है? कोला मार्ट इज बेसिकली यूज्ड इन द सदर्न इंडिया. राइट, सदर्न इंडिया में कोला मार्ट यूज होती है. तो सर ये कोला मार्ट होती क्या है? द कोला मार्ट इज बेसिकली अ फॉर्म ऑफ ड्राइंग दैट इज बीइंग यूज्ड इन द सदर्न इंडिया. आपने रंगोलीज देखी होंगी, डिफरेंट डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ रंगोलीज. सो इट इज बेसिकली वी यूज राइस फ्लोर and other natural ingredients like chalk powder or the rock powder, and we form the rangolis of it, and this is the कोला मार्ट. सो कोला मार्ट की फॉर्म से इसका जो लोगो डिजाइन किया गया था वो कोला मार्ट की फॉर्म में डिजाइन किया गया था, जिसके ऊपर कुछ माइग्रेटरी स्पीशीज थे, एंड दोज माइग्रेटरी स्पीशीज आर एमूर फाल्कन, हम्पबैक whale, humpback whale and marine turtles. राइट, सो रिमेंबर ऑल दीज पॉइंट्स. ये अगर हम COP13 के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं तो उसका जो मैस्कॉट था दैट वाज गिबी. गिबी इज अ ग्रेट इंडियन बस्टर्ड. ठीक है, उसका जो लोगो था उसमें हमने कोला मार्ट यूज की थी. कोला मार्ट क्या होती है? इट इज ऑफ माइग्रेटरी बर्ड्स, जिसमें हमने डिपिक्ट किए थे. कोला मार्ट इज फ्रॉम साउदर्न इंडिया. इसमें हम नेचुरल इंग्रेडिएंट्स को यूज करके रंगोली टाइप फॉर्मेट्स बनाते हैं. नेचुरल इंग्रेडिएंट्स में क्या यूज करते हैं? राइस फ्लोर, चॉक पाउडर, रॉक पाउडर एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स. राइट, और जो हमने आर्ट फॉर्म बनाई थी कोला मार्ट को यूज करके, उसमें हमने कुछ माइग्रेटरी स्पीशीज को दिखाया था, एंड दोज माइग्रेटरी स्पीशीज वर अमूर फाल्कन, हम्पबैक व्हेल एंड द मैरीन टर्टल्स. राइट, ये इतना याद रखना है इसमें. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट देन वी मूव टुवर्ड्स द ग्रेट इंडियन बस्टर्ड. So, as per report by the Wildlife Institute of India, a statutory body under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, only 150 Great Indian bustards are left in India. So, यहाँ से आपको दो चीजें मिल गई. WII, that is Wildlife Institute of India. It's a statutory body under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Right? उनके हिसाब से ग्रेट इंडियन बस्टर्ड्स की जो इंडिया में पॉपुलेशन बची है दैट इज ओनली 150. दे आर ऑन द ब्रिंक ऑफ extinction. Out of those 150, around 90% are found in Rajasthan and Gujarat, as we have seen. Critically endangered, अगर हम इसके IUCN स्टेटस की बात करें, वाइल्ड लाइफ अगर प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट की बात करते हैं तो ऑब्वियसली इट विल बी इन द शेड्यूल 1 ऑफ द एक्ट. राइट, इसी का राजस्थान में जब हम यहाँ पे राजस्थान की बात करते हैं, देयर इज वन प्रोजेक्ट देयर दैट इज प्रोजेक्ट गोडावन. इसका लोकल नेम अगर हम राजस्थान में बात करते हैं तो लोकल नेम इज गोडावन, एंड द प्रोजेक्ट गोडावन इज फॉर द protection of Great Indian bustards in Rajasthan. So remember this point. It is a project Godawan is a basically a project of Rajasthan government that has been started for the conservation of ग्रेट इंडियन बस्टर्ड्स वेयर. दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट कि कहां पे, डेजर्ट नेशनल पार्क में. डेजर्ट नेशनल पार्क कहां है, इस बार के प्रीलिम्स में क्वेश्चन भी आया था. इन डेजर्ट नेशनल पार्क, इट इज लोकेटेड वेयर, इट इज लोकेटेड इन जैसलमेर. दिस वाज अ क्वेश्चन इन प्रीलिम्स 2028 से, राइट. It is also one of the species for the recovery program under the integrated development of wildlife habitats of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So what are the threats to the GIB? So threats अभी हमने देखा, एक तो basically electrocution जो उनका हो रहा है because of the development work or the electric wires in the open. The second is hunting. The bird was a popular game bird and still it is in some pockets despite being listed in the Schedule 1. Predators success rates of egg have been reduced reduced to 40 to 50% due to predators like fox and dogs. Intensification of agriculture, although GIB depends on agriculture as it is predominantly insect eater. So insects कहाँ से खाते हैं, जो agriculture में realized होते हैं, right. But still because of the changing in the agriculture, so the change in the agriculture is, उसकी वजह से क्या हो रहा है कि the insects that are being eaten by the GIB are not available or the food is not available for the GIB, right. So generally they are found near the agricultural landscapes of Gujarat, Kutch during non-breeding season, but use of more pesticides, barbed wire fences and new crops could endanger the bird survival in the landscape. So change in the agriculture, use of more pesticides and the barbed wire fences that are being used in the agriculture is acting as a threat to the GIBs. Also the habitat loss has been reported due to increased fields. Power lines, as we have already discussed, particularly the high voltage power lines, transmission lines with the vertical alignment are the biggest threat to GIB. As per WII report, the habitats have a high density of transmission lines because of the impetus of on renewable energy production on GIB habitats of Rajasthan and Gujarat. Bustards with the poor frontal vision. This also can be a point in your prelims that they have a poor frontal vision and they are less swift because of their size and heavy bodies, cannot maneuver away from the cables in time. So Indian initiatives क्या है, अगर हम बात करें to protect GIB, एक तो हमने बात कर लिया राजस्थान गवर्नमेंट का था प्रोजेक्ट गोडावन, habitat improvement and conservation breeding of great Indian bustards and integrated approach. The government has released already 33 crores for the conservation of GIB through this project. Its tenure is 5 years. Fund has been developed from the CAMPA, that is Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning Authority. Right. So this project is important. This can also be asked in your prelims exam, and even you can write it in your mains if the question is around Great Indian Bustard or the conservation of biodiversity in India. Technical support will be provided by WII. Then the second is directions of the National Green Tribunal. NGT ordered a time-bound action plan for the implementation of mitigation measures such as installation of bird diverters that we have already discussed and their regular maintenance and monitoring by power agencies. A bustard conservation breeding center has been opened in Rajasthan, has been set up in Jaisalmer only, जहाँ पे प्रोजेक्ट गोडावन की हमने बात की. Conservation reserve, great Indian bustard habitats to be declared as conservation reserve. So then what are the challenges, as I was saying in the initial of this topic also, कि challenges क्या हैं, poor financial conditions of the DISCOM. अगर हम इन सारी वायर्स को अंडरग्राउंड कराना चाहें, then the financial condition of the DISCOM is not that good that they can pay for that. Apart from that, there will be job losses, as it is being said that by the DISCOM that around 50 lakh people's job will be affected if all these wires will be made underground. Costly diverters, the high voltage lines cannot be made underground and the diverters are very costly to install and maintain. Then arid region, these areas where the arid areas which require electricity for sourcing water, so reducing wires is difficult. What can be the way forward? Install firefly flight bird diverters wherever there is high voltage power lines. They can use flight bird diverters even if recurring costs are high. Pilot projects in the Pokhran area are already underway that we have discussed. Underground cables wherever possible. And inviolate the area, government should declare critical GIB habitat as an inviolate area to ensure no interference and encroachment. Do not allow new wind turbines in the GIB एरियाज, क्योंकि विंड टर्बाइन की वजह से भी क्या होता है, बिकॉज ऑफ द विंड टर्बाइंस ऑल्सो देयर इज अ इम्पैक्ट ऑन द GIB दैट दे कैन come in between the fans of the turbine, right? So fine imposition that should be there. Recent extinction की अगर हम बात करें, apart from कि GIB हो सकता है extinct, अभी recently कुछ और जो चीजें न्यूज में थी, because of the extinction was the last male northern white rhino got extinct in Sudan, and Brazil's Spix macaw also got extinct recently. Then moving to the next topic. The next topic is Commission for Air Quality Management, that is CAQM. The central government's Commission for Air Quality Management in the National Capital Region and the adjoining area. Basically, we are talking about the NCR area, and इसमें फिर states दूसरे दूसरे involve हो जाएंगे, that is UP, Haryana, and Punjab. And its adjoining areas have been shut down with 5 months of its constitution. So क्यों हमने इसे shut down कर दिया, Commission for Air Quality Management? Because it was brought in by a ordinance route, and उसे already 5 months हो गए थे, and there was no bill, there was no proper bill that can legalize this statutory organization, that is Commission for Air Quality Management. The center dissolved it after 5 months of the ordinance lapsed after failing to become an act. The erstwhile Environment Pollution Prevention and Control Authority (EPCA) have been dissolved to make way for the commission. So basically हमने EPCA को dissolve करके हम लेके आए थे CAQM, right? CAQM किसको dissolve करके लेके आए थे, EPCA को, but CAQM के लिए जो हम ऑर्डिनेंस के थ्रू लेके आए थे उसके लिए कोई बिल पास नहीं हुआ, so उस वजह से अभी हमें for the time being इसे dissolve करना पड़ा, right? So need for Commission for Air Quality Management. The air pollution is indeed a major challenge. It has health, economic, and political implications, and the problem of multiplicity of bodies was a key reason why it could not be tackled effectively. So multiplicity of the bodies को remove करने के लिए हम CAQM को लेके आए थे. Right, significance. It's a statutory body. It is that regulates the process by coordinating between the central government and the state government. Holistic approach. The commission will have the power to coordinate with the relevant state and central governments on the multi-sector plan, including industry, power plants, agriculture, transport, residential, and construction. It will give more power. As more powers, why I am saying it will give more powers? Because first of all, it will have more punitive provisions that they can punish if somebody is not following. Other than that, it is working on the above the Central Board of Air Pollution and the State Board of Air Pollution, right? So this is also one of the reason कि इसके ordinance को bill क्यों नहीं बना पाए, because it is being कि इसका criticism यही था that it is giving more powers to the central government, or the centralization of power is going on, and the power is taken from the respective state governments to maintain the air pollution in those areas, and उसकी उसी disagreements की वजह से इसका ये bill पास नहीं हो पाया. Right, so issue is the ordinance route was criticized. First of all, why bring in such a law, such a body through the ordinance route? That is against the democratic setup. States and other stakeholders were not contacted or not taken into consideration. Lack of time-bound commitment for the to clean the air. There was no time frame mentioned कि कितने टाइम में हम एयर पॉल्यूशन को टैकल कर लेंगे. Skeptic about the working of the body, over centralization of the central government. So what can be the way ahead now? Outlines are time-bound commitment to achieving the set standard, ensure adequate personnel and funds for pollution control bodies, stricter monitoring system, strong political will and support is required. Commission for Air Quality Management formed by an ordinance. We have already discussed this. The ordinance came in the month of October. The commission will be statutory authority. Composition: 18 new commission brings together the center, state, and other stakeholders in one collaborative platform, chaired by a government official of the rank of secretary or chief secretary. The person will hold the post for 3 years until or attains the age of 70 years. It will supersede bodies such as the central and state pollution control boards, as we were discussing, central and right of Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, UP and Rajasthan. So remember the areas, क्योंकि आपने देखा होगा कि जनरली नॉर्दर्न इंडिया के ऊपर ही एयर पॉल्यूशन ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट करता है ड्यूरिंग द टाइम फ्रॉम अक्टूबर टू दिसंबर. It will also have ex officio members who are either chief secretaries or secretaries in charge of the department dealing with the environment protection in the state of Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan and UP. 3 full-time technical members. So these are the constituent. Head कौन करेगा? Secretary or the chief secretary level for the tenure of 3 years or until he or she attains the age of 70. Then it will have 5 ex officio members. Total 18 members का panel होगा. Ex officio members होंगे 5 who are either chief secretaries or secretaries in charge of the department dealing with the environmental protection in the states of. ये 5 कहाँ से आए हैं? इन्हीं 5 states से. लिए जाएंगे 3 फुल टाइम टेक्निकल मेंबर्स होंगे. पावर्स एंड jurisdictions की अगर हम बात करें, इट विल हैव द पावर टू इशू डायरेक्शंस to those state governments on issues pertaining to air pollution. So basically, this was the over centralization that they can issue directions to the states. Exclusive jurisdiction over the NCR, including areas in Haryana, Punjab, UP, and Rajasthan in matters of air pollution, and will be working along the CPCB and ISRO apart from the respective state governments. The commission will have the power to impose fine of up to 1 crore and imprisonment of up to 5 years in case the directions are not contrary. राइट नाउ द नेक्स्ट टॉपिक विल बी योर प्रोजेक्ट रिहैब. सो प्रोजेक्ट रिहैब से बेसिकली अगर आपको इसके नाम से समझना है, नाम से आपको लगेगा दैट इट इज समथिंग रिलेटेड टू व्हाट, इट इज समथिंग रिलेटेड टू ड्रग एडिक्शन, राइट. इट कैन लुक लाइक दैट, बट द फुल फॉर्म, इफ यू सी द फुल फॉर्म, दैट इज रिड्यूसिंग एलिफेंट ह्यूमन अटैक्स यूजिंग honeybees. Right, so it's a very novel method कि हम honeybees को use करके we are going to reduce the man animal conflict, that is elephant and human conflict, or man animal conflict or elephant and human conflict, because of which many elephants were dying. So इसे हमने एक pilot project के तौर पे अभी launch किया है in our South India, right. So इसके बारे में किसने लॉन्च किया है? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, इट इज बीइंग लॉन्च्ड बाय केवीआईसी. व्हाट इज केवीआईसी? केवीआईसी इज खादी एंड विलेज इंडस्ट्रीज कमीशन, right, has launched research project rehab reducing elephant human attack by using bees in the Kodagu district of Karnataka, right. About the project rehab, under this project bee boxes will be used as a fence to prevent the attack of elephant. The bee boxes are set up in the passage gates of human elephant conflict zones to block the entrance of elephants to human habitations. So अभी इसकी वजह से कैसे हो रहा है, लाइक मतलब हमने सिर्फ बी बॉक्सेस अगर कहीं पे रख दिए, सो ऐसा क्यों हम मान रहे हैं कि एलिफेंट इस बी बॉक्स को क्रॉस करके ह्यूमन सेटलमेंट पे एंटर नहीं करेगा? देयर इज अ रीजन फॉर दैट. इट इज बिलीव्ड कि एलिफेंट्स की जो मेमोरी पावर होती है, दैट इज वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग. And the one is strong memory of the elephants. The second is they don't like the noise being created by the bees, right. And third, they are afraid of the honeybees because they feel that the honeybees can stung at the beneath their trunks and other sensitive areas, right. So उसकी वजह से क्या होता है कि elephants have a memory power कि यहाँ पे अगर honeybees हैं, if once, like suppose this is a national park, हमने इसके चारों तरफ यहाँ पे हनी बी के बॉक्सेस, बीज के बॉक्सेस रख दिए, देन दे विल बी क्रिएटिंग द नॉइज कि यहाँ पे बीज है. सो जैसे ही यहाँ से एलिफेंट कोई भी, और इसके बाहर सारा ह्यूमन सेटलमेंट है मान लो, सो जैसे ही एलिफेंट यहाँ से क्रॉस करने की कोशिश करेगा, इट विल कम इन कॉन्टेक्ट विद द बॉक्सेस ऑफ द बीज एंड रियलाइज कि इट इज नॉट सेफ टू क्रॉस दिस एरिया. एंड एलिफेंट हैज अ मेमोरी, स्ट्रॉन्ग मेमोरी. सो if once the elephant has come to this way and they have found out that there are bee boxes here, the elephant will not come this way for a very long time. So in this way, if the whole national park or the area is being surrounded by the bee box, then it is very rare that the elephant is going to cross this area and move to the human settlement, and this will decrease the impact of elephant and human conflict, and because of this, both lives of both the elephant and the humans will be saved, right. The boxes are connected with a string so that when elephants attempt to pass through, a tug case of the bees to warm elephant herds and dissuade them from progressing further. Right, bee boxes have been placed on the ground as well as hung from the trees. High resolution night vision cameras have been installed at the strategic points to record the impacts of bees on the elephants and their behavior in these zones. The total cost will be 15 lakh, and the project rehab is a submission. This is also important, that project rehab, it is a mission under National Honey Mission, which is also being run by KVIC. सो KVIC के बारे में थोड़ा सा आपको पता होना चाहिए. ऑलरेडी प्रीलिम्स में इसके ऊपर भी एक क्वेश्चन आ चुका है. KVIC के डायरेक्टली उन्होंने एम्स पूछे थे. तो KVIC इज अ स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडी अंडर विच मिनिस्ट्री? इट इज अंडर MSME मिनिस्ट्री. सो दीज टू इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स अबाउट द KVIC, राइट. इनके अंडर ही कौन सा मिशन है? देयर इज नेशनल हनी मिशन. सो बेसिकली यहाँ पे दोनों चीजों का फायदा हो रहा है. In the one way, we are going to generate honey or produce honey, and the second is elephant and human contact will be avoided. So the honey mission is a program to increase bee population and honey production and beekeepers income by setting up एपेरीज. सो इसकी वजह से इट विल बी बेनिफिशियल इन बोथ वेज. Right, apart from that, there are few other facts that you should know about that can be used in your mains exam and even can be asked in your prelims exam ki hum basically why are we so worried about the elephant and human conflict. Because of this conflict nearly 500 people die every year because of human elephant conflict, and around 100 elephants die every year because of this man animal conflict, right? So this is the important facts that can be used, that nearly 500 people die every year due to elephant attack in India. This is nearly 10 times more than the fatalities caused by big cats across the India. So just imagine ki tiger, leopards, puma, all these things, they only kill 50 people a year in India, and elephant and human conflict is killing 500 people a year, right? On the contrary, nearly one fifth of the number, that is around 500 elephants, have been died in retaliation by humans in the last 5 years. So that will come around 100 elephants per year and 2500 people in 5 years because of this conflict. So just remember these numbers, they can be quoted by you people while writing your means answer. सेकेंड पार्ट जो हमने डिस्ट्रिक्ट की बात की, वो डिस्ट्रिक्ट कहां पे लाई करता है, दैट लाइज नियर द नगर होल टाइगर रिजर्व. सो बेसिकली जो ये हमने बी लाइन बना रहे हैं हम लोग, दैट इज अराउंड द नगर होल टाइगर रिजर्व. नगर होल टाइगर रिजर्व इज बीइंग सेपरेटेड बाय बंदीपुर टाइगर रिजर्व. सो हियर इज नगर होल टाइगर रिजर्व एंड हियर इज बंदीपुर टाइगर रिजर्व. So these both are segregated by a very important river. So it can be asked in your prelims, that is Kabini River. So Nagarhole is separated by Bandipur Tiger Reserve via Kabini River. Okay. Now moving to the next topic, that is Pilibhit Tiger Reserve. It is spread across the Pilibhit, Lakhimpur Kheri and Bharej district in UP. The northern edge lies between the Indo-Nepal border, while the river Sharda and Khakra mark the southern boundary. So पीलीभीत के बारे में, एक तो कहां पे लाई करती है, यूपी के अंदर along the Indo-Nepal border, right, along the Indo-Nepal border. फिर इसमें जो इंपॉर्टेंट रिवर्स हैं, दैट इज रिवर शारदा एंड खकरा मार्क द सदर्न बाउंड्री ऑफ द पीलीभीत टाइगर रिजर्व, डिक्लेयर्ड एज द 45th टाइगर रिजर्व इन 2008. It represents the only tiger population with ecological and behavioral adaptations to the tiger unique to the Tarai region. Park management has developed the Chuka ecotourism site. So this can be asked कि Chuka ecotourism site कहाँ पे? It is in Pilibhit Tiger Reserve on the banks of Sharda River Dam, which is located inside the park. So Pilibhit Tiger Reserve bagged the first international award TX2 for the year 2020 among the 13 tiger countries. Basically, this TX2, there are total 13 tiger countries, and they have a target to double the tiger population. That is T into 2, to double the tiger population. उसमें से the Pilibhit Tiger Reserve has bagged the first international award TX2 for the year 2020 for having doubled the number of tigers in less than a stipulated time, right? So these are the other tiger reserves that are located in India. You can zoom in the map and look for it कि आपको कोई भी अगर tiger reserve के बारे में देखना है. Here it is the Pilibhit Tiger Reserve at the Indo-Nepal border over here, and these are the other tiger reserves. So do read the map because these tiger reserves are important for from the Indian perspective. Then the next topic is National Plan for Conservation of Aquatic Ecosystem (NPCA). So over 1000 crore rupees have been released for the conservation of 157 wetlands in the country under National Plan for Conservation of Aquatic Ecosystem, that is NPCA. This was the news. The NAPCA is a conservative program for both wetlands and lakes. So it has been formed by merging two separate programs. One was for the lakes and the other was for wetlands. So after merging these, a new plan has been formed, that is National Plan for Conservation of Aquatic Ecosystem. So just remember it that it considers both wetlands and the lake. It is a centrally sponsored scheme under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, formulated by merging National Lake Conservation Plan and National Wetland Conservation Plan. So NLCP and NWCP को merge करके हमने बना दिया है NPCA. Under the NPCA scheme, the central assistance is based on proposals received from the state governments in conformity with the guidelines and budget availability. The scheme covers various activities such as interception, diversion and treatment of wastewater, shoreline protection, lakefront development, and in situ cleaning. So, what are the aims and objectives if we talk about? It aims at holistic conservation and restoration of lakes and wetlands for achieving desired water quality enhancement, beside improvement in biodiversity and ecosystem through an integrated and multidisciplinary approach with a common regulatory framework. The scheme should contribute to the reduction of pollution loads and improvement in biodiversity, as also the goods and services provided by these water bodies to the stakeholders. So when we talk about the wetlands, wetlands are shallow water bodies with high biodiversity and productivity. They play an important role in biogeochemical cycles, that is the nutrient cycle of, and have the potential for wastewater treatment. They are used as a source of drinking water and for navigation, irrigation, improving microclimate and have ecotourism potential. अगर हम रामसर कन्वेंशन की बात करें, जिसके अंदर हम रामसर साइट्स की बात करते हैं, जो कि इंडिया में अगर एशिया की सबसे ज्यादा रामसर साइट्स कहाँ पे हैं अब, वो इंडिया में है। इंडिया में रिसेंटली पहले 27 रामसर साइट्स होती थी, देन 10 न्यू वर एडेड इन 3 स्टेट्स व्हिच लेड टू 37, देन वी हैव 2 + 1 + 2, दैट इज 5 मोर साइट्स हैव बीन एडेड एंड नाउ वी हैव 42 रामसर साइट्स। सो कीप एन आई, जो भी नई रामसर साइट्स ऐड हुई हैं उनके बारे में थोड़ा थोड़ा आपको पता होना चाहिए। अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, चिलिका लेक के बारे में थोड़ा सा पता होना चाहिए, विच वाज अ मोन्ट्रेक्स साइट but have been removed from the Montrex list. Montrex क्या होती है? Basically it is a list in the Ramsar sites की जिन्हें बहुत ही ज्यादा urgent requirement है and these wetlands are under dilapidated conditions. So उनके लिए एक special separate list बनाई जाती थी. So Chilika Lake was moved out of that क्योंकि उसमें हमने काफी ज्यादा conservation programs के through उसे conserve कर लिया था and we protected it from being damaged. राइट, सो अगर हम बात करते हैं कि रामसर कन्वेंशन की डेफिनेशन क्या है वेटलैंड्स की, एरियाज ऑफ मार्च, फेन, पीटलैंड और वाटर, वेदर नेचुरल और आर्टिफिशियल, परमानेंट और टेम्परेरी, with water that is static or flowing, fresh, brackish or salt, including areas of marine water, the depth of which at low tides does not exceed 6 meters. So ये important है that the depth of which at low tide does not exceed 6 meter, and those marine waters can also be included in the wetlands. So fish pond, rice paddies, salt pans are human made wetlands. Importance of wetlands की अगर हम बात करें तो wetlands are a vital part in hydrological cycle, support varied biological diversity and provide a wide range of ecosystem services. They provide habitat for animals and plants, and wetland provides an important range of environmental, social and economic services. About Ramsar Convention, it was signed in 1971, one of the oldest intergovernmental agreements signed by member countries to preserve the ecological character of their wetlands of international importance. What is the aim? To develop and maintain an international network of wetlands that are important for the conservation of global biological diversity and for sustaining human life through the maintenance of the ecosystem components, processes, and benefits. World Wetland Day is being celebrations are held every year on the 2nd February to mark the signing of Ramsar Convention. Wetlands in India. India is nearly 4.6% of its land. So you can say around 5% or 4.6% of its land area is wetlands, covering an area of 15.26 million hectares and has 42 designated Ramsar sites designated as Ramsar sites. Right, we have seen already. Wetlands are regulated under the Wetlands Conservation and Management Rules of 2017 in India. So यहाँ पे मेजर थ्रेट्स क्या है वेटलैंड के लिए, दैट इज फ्रेगमेंटेशन ऑफ हाइड्रोलॉजिकल रिजीम, कैचमेंट डिग्रेडेशन, conversion for alternate use like for farming and other things, pollution, over harvest of the resources, and the invasive species in the wetland. We have the newer regulations removed some items from the definition of wetlands, and these include backwaters, lagoon, creeks, and estuaries. So this is important. In 2010, various versions of are provided by Central Wetland Regulatory Authority, but 2017 rules replaced it with state level bodies and created a National Wetland Committee, which functions as an advisory role. So National Wetland Committee 2017 के रूल्स के अंदर फॉर्म हुई थी, इट हैज एन एडवाइजरी रोल, और इन्होंने अपनी डेफिनेशन से वेटलैंड में से कुछ चीजों को हटाया, दैट इज बैकवाटर, लगून्स, क्रीक एंड एस्चुरीज. Then if we talk about what the government of India is doing to save its wetlands, so National Lake Conservation Plan that is implemented since 2001 to address pollution issues in urban lakes. In project sanction, this is not important. Funding is of the pattern of 70 is to 30 or 90 is to 10 for the northeastern state. Dal Lake project in J&K provided 100% financial assistance, which is an exception over here. Then National Wetland Conservation Program being implemented since 1986, 115 wetlands in 24 states and 2 union territories identified for conservation and management. Basically इन्हीं दोनों को merge करके NPCA बनाया गया है. Funding pattern 100% financial assistance as an annual grants to state governments for MAP implementation. Right? Then the third is Wetland Conservation and Management Rules 2010, which have been now amended in 2017. So it recommended prohibitory and regulatory activities within wetlands and their zone of influence enforced by the central government through Central Wetland Regulatory Authority. Draft revised wetland rules in 2016. State wetland authorities will be the nodal agency for the notification, regulation, and management. No central wetland regulatory authority envisaged. But these are the drafts only, right? So these are all the steps that the government of India has taken. Now moving toward last topic, that is reintroduction of cheetahs. So cheetah is a, as you all know, it's a keystone species. That is, it is lying at the top of the pyramid. Generally people say that cheetah is extinct, but remember it, cheetah is not extinct from all over the world. Cheetahs are extinct from India, right? They got extinct from India in 1952. राइट. सो वापस नाउ वी आर रीइंट्रोड्यूसिंग चीता. और हम कहाँ से लेके आ रहे हैं? वी आर ब्रिंगिंग इट फ्रॉम अफ्रीका कॉन्टिनेंट, बेसिकली फ्रॉम नाइजीरिया एंड साउथ अफ्रीका. So there has been a lot of debate that should we bring cheetahs from outside or not, and finally it has been approved, and now we are going to bring cheetahs from two African countries, that is Nigeria and South Africa, and we are going to introduce them in Kuno Palpur Tiger Reserve, and it is located in where? In Madhya Pradesh. So as a part of the program, two experts from Namibia, sorry, not Nigeria, it was Namibia, and the other South Africa, and the two countries with the highest cheetah population in the world will arrive in to train India's forest officer and wildlife expert on handling, breeding, rehabilitation, medical treatment and conservation of the animals. This is the first time in the world that a large carnivore will be located from one continent to another. So this is important, that it is the first time in the world that such a large carnivore will be located from one continent to the other. Then reintroduction of a species mean releasing it in an area where it is capable of surviving. So ये हमें कैसे पता चला कि ये यहीं पे survive करेगा? There were many projects that has been developed since 2006. This Kuno Palpur has been taken into key, like it was being looked into that if the cheetah can be reintroduced here. उससे पहले हम यहाँ पे एक बार यूपीएससी इसी के बारे में क्वेश्चन भी पूछ चुका है. एशियाटिक लॉयन यहाँ पे हम लोग लेके आए थे कूनो पालपुर में ही, मध्य प्रदेश में उसे यहाँ पे इन द वाइल्ड छोड़ा गया था, एंड यूपीएससी हैज ऑलरेडी आस्क्ड इट इन द प्रीलिम्स ऑफ 2016 आई गेस. Right, so reintroduction of large carnivores have increasingly been recognized as a strategy to conserve threatened species and restore the ecosystem functions. Causes of extinctions, same as like human wildlife conflict, loss of habitat, loss of prey, and the illegal trafficking. Emphasis on agriculture eventually led to less forest land, and climate change are the major contributors. The cheetah are believed to have disappeared from the country when Maharaja Ramnoj Pratap Singh Deo of Korea hunted and shot the last three recorded Asiatic cheetahs in India in 1947, and it was declared extinct by the government in 1952. But अगर हम वैसे बात करें so they are just under vulnerable category. Cheetahs of the African continent की अगर हम बात करते हैं, and the Asiatic cheetahs, there are few cheetahs, Asiatic cheetahs in Iran. Right, so they are not extinct in general, but they are extinct from India. So India's effort related to relocation of cheetah. This isn't the first time that India has attempted for the relocation of cheetah. In the early 1970s, negotiations were carried out with Iran on the behalf of Indira Gandhi administration. Assessed site Mukundra Hill Tiger Reserve, Shehergarh Wildlife Sanctuary in Rajasthan, Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary, Kuno National Park, Madhav National Park, and Nora Dehi Wildlife Sanctuary in Madhya Pradesh. So remember these all the wildlife sanctuary and tiger reserve. Two are from Rajasthan, जो कि those can be the probable sites, and those two were Mukundra Hill Tiger Reserve and Shergarh Wildlife Sanctuary, and the rest four are from Madhya Pradesh, that is Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary, Kuno National Park, Madhav National Park, and Nura Dehi Wildlife Sanctuary. Nura Dehi Wildlife Sanctuary was also in the news because of this only. सो कूनो नेशनल पार्क इज आइडेंटिफाइड फॉर द relocation finally. इन सबको कंसिडरेशन में लेने के बाद द साइट हैज बीन मॉनिटर्ड सिंस 2006 एंड आइडेंटिफाइड फॉर रिलोकेटिंग द एशियाटिक लाइंस. राइट, सो इसी के ऊपर यूपीएससी ऑलरेडी क्वेश्चन पूछ चुके हैं. जस्ट चेक योर प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन फॉर दैट. सिग्निफिकेंस क्या होगी वापस reintroduce करने की चीता. सेक्शन ऑफ conservationists have long advocated the reintroduction of the species in the country. It is recognized as a strategy to conserve threatened species and restore ecosystem functions. The cheetah is the only large carnivore that has been extirpated mainly by overhunting in India in historical times. Basically, the kings or the maharajas and even the Britishers used to hunt these, and that's why they got extinct from India. India now has the economic ability to consider restoring its lost natural heritage for ethical as well as ecological reasons. The conservation of cheetah will revive grasslands and their biomes and habitats, much like Project Tiger has done for the forest, and all the species that have been seen there numbers go up. Right, Kuno National Park of Madhya Pradesh is one of the most unique destination of all wildlife lovers and enthusiasts. It has healthy population of cheetal, sambar, nilgai, wild pig, chinkara, and cattle. Currently, the leopard and striped hyena are the only larger carnivore within the national park. So, which are the two large carnivore, leopard and striped hyena, with the long tiger having returned to Ranthambore earlier this year. एक ही tiger था यहाँ पे with the lone tiger, which has been now returned to Ranthambore Tiger Reserve. राइट, सो एशियाटिक चीता आईयूसीएन लिस्ट की अगर हम बात करें तो एशियाटिक चीता इज क्लासिफाइड एज क्रिटिकली एंडेंजर्ड स्पीशीज इन द आईयूसीएन लिस्ट, बट स्टेटस इन इंडिया हैज बीन डिक्लेयर्ड एक्सटिंक्ट. ये हम बात कर रहे हैं एशियाटिक की. अगर हम अफ्रीकन की बात करते हैं तो अफ्रीकन चीताज आर जनरली दे आर ओनली इन द वनरेबल. So Asiatic cheetahs, there are only 40 to 50 found only in Iran, which we have already discussed. Characteristic, they are smaller and paler than the African cheetahs. So they are smaller and paler than the African cheetahs. Now we talk about African cheetah. They are vulnerable. Under IUCN Red List distribution. There are around 6,500 to 7,000 African cheetahs present in the wild. Characteristic, they are bigger in size as compared to Asiatic cheetahs. So this is all for today. So let's meet again in the next class. Thank you very much.